I want to go back to the relationship between Ruth and Boaz. At this point in the story, nobody knows, is it going to go any further? But all up to this guy that's got the first option. What's the basis of Ruth and Boaz's decision to proceed with the relationship? What drives their relationship on? There's a lesson there for Christians. There's a lesson there. Of course, if it's a lesson for Christians, it's a lesson for us all. What drives a relationship? What ought to drive a relationship? Was it, well, they're compatible? Well, we're not told that. Was it their ages certainly weren't equal, that's for sure. Or what about beauty? Well, Ruth certainly was. Don't know about Boaz. What I heard about him recently was he looked like an old goat. I don't know how they got it, but what we do know from this is there's no mention of looks. They don't decide to get it. Boaz didn't sit up in the barn and say, well, Ruth, yeah, you're a beauty. Sure I want to marry you. Was it looks? What was it? What drove him to carry on? Was it finance? Well, that was certainly, I think, what made Naomi so keen. But there's no mention in the dialogue in the barn, is there? What is it that's the basis of the relationship proceeding? Well, verses 10 and 11. Then he, Boaz, said, this is him sitting up in the barn. Whenever his duty is placed before him, it's your duty to take me as your wife. Then he said, blessed are you of the Lord, my daughter. For you have shown more kindness at the end than at the beginning, in that you did not go, listen, you didn't go after the young men. Remember back in the field? There was the young men, and there were the young girls. But Ruth said, I'll stick to Boaz's field. And Boaz took note. You could have gone with the young girls. You could have gone hunting the young boys. No. You could have gone for the rich. You could have gone for the poor, but you didn't. You stuck in my field. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you request. Because all the people of my town know that you're a virtuous woman. What's the basis? Integrity, virtue, duty. What good advice to courting couples. Let God be the driving force, not looks, not finance. Let God's ways, God's laws, let that drive our relationship. And you'll also see, of course, that Ruth does all this in obedience to her mother-in-law. Well, lessons there, eh? Let me ask you, when you're ever going to do something questionable, ask yourself this. Would you do it if your mother and father was watching? Would you do it? Boaz and Ruth are models of decorum, models of uprightness, models of obedience. What would you do? Would you do what you're planning to do if your mother and father were watching? Now, let's get away from relationships. Let's get away from even young people and ask all ourselves a question. Would we be doing what we'd be doing or what we're planning to do if it was the last 5 minutes of your life? when the angel of death comes for you, when he comes for me, what would you like to be doing? Would you like to be doing what you're planning to do? It's challenging, isn't it? But it's one of the lessons we learn from Boaz and from Ruth. Well, that's it. Once again. What's the message of Ruth then, finally? What's the message? Oh, she landed on her feet, didn't she? Did she? Oh, her number came up all right, didn't it? Did it? Is that the message of Ruth? We've noted it before. What is the message of Ruth? There is no such thing as luck. There is no such thing as chance. There's no such thing as coincidence if you vote for God and His ways. That's the message of Ruth. Ultimate blessing in the final outcome is a certainty if you follow God. Oh, there will be many ups and downs on the road. But at the end of the day, the final outcome is ultimate blessing, ultimate security, ultimate favour of God. It is never, ever, ever a vain thing to do it God's way. That's the message of Ruth. Do it God's way. In the end, it pays. Let's pray.